All right, well, thousands of residents in Sydney's west are waking up to the news that they might be stuck with aircraft noise 24 hours a day right over their houses.
Day flights taking off from the Western Sydney Airport to Melbourne will head over Penrith and the Blue Mountains, while night flights coming in from Queensland will fly above Windsor, Mount Druitt and Blacktown. Let's bring in federal member for Lindsay, Melissa McIntosh, and Blaxland resident Peter Dolan. Thanks both for your time. Now, first to you, Peter, how will these new flight paths affect you?
Oh, well, it'll be quite devastating for people in the Blue Mountains because at the moment we live in an environment which is pristine and we have a very low ambient noise. So any kind of overflights are going to be very impactful.
I've flown in a few times and quite often from Melbourne, and they seem to take that path over the Blue Mountains. Is it just the height of the aircraft that you're most concerned about? And you would have seen the various flight paths that have been put out by the government. But what are you most concerned about here?
Yeah, well, the height is certainly a big factor, Carl. At the moment we get flights, as you say, coming over the Blue Mountains, but that's really tracking into Sydney, so they're a lot higher. The flights are coming in over the Blue Mountains will be much, much lower because they've got to get to the foot of the Blue Mountains from the Western Sydney Airport. And what's also a major issue for us is that we have a very unique landscape and soundscape. So we have a low ambient noise, we have a lot of valleys, we have a lot of sandstone escarpment, so all kinds of noise will be really exacerbated through that echoing effect through the valleys. So we're concerned about that, and we're concerned that it's also going to be non-stop all night long as opposed to Sydney that has the protection of a curfew.
Yeah, a few buses and motorbikes by the sounds of things too. Now,
Yeah,
Melissa,
forget about the planes.
Melissa, you represent residents in the suburbs surrounding the airport. What are they telling you?
Thanks very much. Well, the Minister for Infrastructure, Catherine King, released this at 12:01 this morning. So my community is waking up to a bit of a shock, not the best news. And I've been trying to get on to the tool that the government has to find out about the flight paths. But what I know right now is the High Street of Penrith will have aircraft at between 5,000 to 8,000 feet, up to almost 40 times a day. And then also, this is on takeoff, in another part of my community called Cambridge Park, that will have aircraft landing up to almost 70 times a day at 2,500 to 5,000 feet. So we're impacted right across our community, and I want to make sure that this decision is a balanced decision. So I'm calling on everyone in my community to make a contribution to the community consultation process, because if it's not fair for us in Western Sydney, we're going to make a lot of noise about it.
Literally, there's a lot of noise going on everywhere. But this had to happen, and we knew that progress was coming. You've known for years now that the airport's going to go in there, so there's got to be some level of compromise through all this coordination, through this consultation process. For you both, quickly, what's the resolution? Because you know it's going to happen. What's the resolution you're most comfortable living with?
Oh, absolutely. I've been a big supporter of the airport. It's going to mean people in my community in Western Sydney don't have to do that long travel to and from work. We've missed out for so long, but there has to be balance when it comes to flight paths. This High Street of Penrith, heading towards the Nepean River, will have planes really low in the not too distant future. I want it to be fair for people in my community.
Yeah, the problem is, Carl, is that the Sydney airshed is already very busy. It really can't accommodate two international airports. And so we really don't think there's much that can be done to mitigate the actual flight paths themselves. The only thing that can give some peace and assurances to people living in the Blue Mountains in Western Sydney is a curfew, as they have in Sydney.
All right, let's see what happens with it all.
Something we agree on. That's a flight path. So that's a good thing.
We got to keep rolling. But this is not a story that's going away. Appreciate you being on this morning.
Back to you guys.
Thank you.
Hey there, Today fans, Sarah and
What's my name again?
oh my God, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.